instead of just like charging everybody up. So they had like a reunion circle, so to speak, like 2 weeks ago, me and Mike got to sit down and talk, man. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Nah, I had seen him, but it wasn't like we got to really be in conversation. Like right after, I became Mike Lee Fellow and everything. We did the photo shoot. We talked. Somebody asked me like, "Yo, reach out to him." I was like, "Nah, I'm kind of like building a little bit. Let me put some things in place." So when I came in there, I was one of the facilitators for the circle. So I had to kind of like tell people who I was and everything. And he was like, he went and told he told what's his name? I always get it wrong. Is it the DA? The head DA? What's his name? Kazner. Is it Kazner or Krasner? Krasner. I always say Kazner. I told him that at the time. Like that, I gotta apologize. Messing your name up all the time. So, are they friendly for you? Hell no. So this is PSA. Pull these up close to y'all. My bad. So we can get everything. If you don't mind, can you grab a mic? My man need a mic down there. But this is PSA, Philly service announcement, Takeover Tuesday Takeover, love, support, and grace, social activism, resources, and art. And I'm the assist. I always brush past that most times when I do the little spill. But my right hand sister is not here today. She got a lot of hats that she wear. Mom just got her master's. Work, wife. So she be in and out just because of that. But it's not like she don't want to be here. So we always got dope shows. Because we have dope people on here. We a resource show. And I don't introduce people. We kind of had that at a meeting, but I ain't gonna let y'all into our inner business just yet, because our business is the people, so the public gonna learn about it at some point. You know what I mean? But I kind of feel like at the meeting it was kind of like, you ain't introduce nobody or nothing. I was like, nah, I don't introduce people because I'm gonna leave some stuff out. People gonna feel slighted. Then you ain't gonna want to collaborate, and then everything that I'm trying to do is not gonna work. But I'm gonna let y'all introduce yourself. Let the people know who y'all are. Give them a little bit.
Okay. I'm Denletha Banks. I'm the executive director and founder of Living for Tomorrow Inc.
Pull it up. I apologize. Pull it up just a little bit. For some reason, you seem a little soft-spoken now. When I talk to you in person, you don't seem like that. But go ahead.
Are you trying to play me down?
You sound little, sis.
Are you with him? Okay. All right. I'm Denletha Banks. I'm the executive director and founder of Living for Tomorrow Inc. We are a female-based recidivism project, pretty much. What we are doing is right now we're also veering towards COVID, so we giving COVID shots, COVID testing, booster shots. We're doing all that on location, but for the most part, Living for Tomorrow is a female recidivism. And what we're trying to do is for women that's coming home from prison that need the home plan, that have not been with their families, seen their families, talked to their families. We want to give them somewhere that they can come serve the rest of their sentence out at our location, which we're going to be collaborating with you. And that's basically what we're doing right now.
So matter of fact, before I jump in, I'm gonna let you introduce yourself.
I'm LaQuisha Taylor, Denletha's sister and her partner at Living for Tomorrow, and it's been a work in progress since 2016. So we're just trying to do what we're doing.
So the thing I want to, before I let this brother, because he's connected to all of this without knowing he's connected, because it's just like the work he has done, he does do, this the type of guy he is. He's always connected to this type of community work. So the first thing, because I don't want to lose this point, when we was talking at the meeting and you kind of like clarified it for real for me, even from when we was talking before, when you was like, this is more geared towards connecting moms with their children.
Absolutely.
Like, yeah, we want to take care of the mom, no doubt about it, because we're going to talk about how the woman's experience of being incarcerated is drastically different than the male experience, and that's in the wrong way.
Right.
However, you could say incarceration, we ain't gonna do the struggle Olympics. It attacks both men and women in a way that it shouldn't. America definitely has to revisit how they even look at policing and all that, and that's not nothing new. Right. But the women's experience is drastically. And even when women come home, because like I said, and I've been saying it a lot, I don't hear those conversations about anybody showing support to women, like just in our everyday conversation. I haven't run into any men that say, I just came from visiting Cambridge Springs, or I just came from visiting Muncie. Right. That's just not a conversation that I have with men, period. Right. But I very rarely hear women say it either. You know what I'm saying? Whereas though I have a bunch of conversations about men and people just going to see them, right, and people just on jail calls with them and staying connected with them and doing plans that they actually was telling them, yo, you need to do this when you go home, and you communicating. You know what I mean? Like, I see that support a lot all the time. I experience it myself and have experienced it. But when you talk with women, who's going to see them? The women come and see the men, but I don't know too many men that's going to see their girl in prison, their woman in prison.
And it's a lot of.
I just don't know. And a lot of their cases be tied to their men.
It's talk heavy.
You know what I'm saying? So it's like, but before I go too far off into a tangent again, I want to bring my brother in. This is dope for me because this is a guy. I'm a Brody a little bit of his time, y'all. Introducing him. This is a guy that gave me an opportunity to be sitting here. You know what I'm saying? By, meeting him, doing an interview. They believed in what I was saying, how I was moving. They gave me the tools. And it's funny because I still do this to this day, where it's like a lot of what I do is about human capital on both ends of it. So human capital, and it feels good to take care of another person, to help another person. You know what I'm saying? It feels good to be a part of somebody's move up. You know what I'm saying? Whatever that is for them. It feels good to be a part of somebody's success, whether that's getting a Social Security card or graduating from college. You know what I mean? Because all of that feels like a graduation in some way when you coming from nothing, or your stuff being in disarray. It's like when your credit be bad, it like that one, when you first get that first doing that, your credit going back up, it's like, it's psychologically, it be like, okay. You know what I'm saying? You be looking at the phone like, okay, all right, we getting it. So, so it's the same feeling like when you first come home and get a bank account. Everybody else running in and out of the bank, like, I can't stand this damn bank. I'm in there like, oh man, I'm about to get my bank account, So, and then on the other end of it, it was resource based, because I remember y'all saying to me, you ain't gonna get paid a whole lot of money, but your money will be in the connections that you make, the networks that you make, the doors that you can go in because you have this title. Right. Because you work with and for us. And and everything they said to me was true. You know what I mean? So I love being on both sides of it in that way. So even being on this show, it's still the same thing. I'm providing resources and letting people know who the people who give out resources are. Right. And I'm meeting people constantly that's helping building my network just being on the show. You know what I'm saying? Absolutely. And I'm gonna let this brother tell you who he is, but he's one of the impetus of me being sitting here and talking to y'all.
It's definitely an honor to have you say straight from your mouth that I played a role in you being here and doing the work that you're doing, and I'm glad that I could help facilitate that. But honestly, man, I didn't have to give you nothing. Like, man, I remember when you came in. Just for the background, this was obviously a Philadelphia Lawyers for Social Equity, and you were the initial Mike Lee Fellow, and like you came in, and I think that we had already interviewed a few people. We already had in mind some of the folks that we were, kind of maybe interested in, and just your whole approach, your energy, and it's the same way every time I'm in a room with you. I think I've seen you in a while. It's been at least half a year. I don't know if I've seen you since.
Yeah, the kids, the baby put weight on me, dog. We can talk about that at another time.
No, that's the camera, bro. Yeah. That's not real life. But the energy, man, and to see the work that you're doing and continuing to do, like, that's why it was such a pleasure to be able to work with you for that period of time while you were a Mike Lee Fellow. I don't even think I said my name so far.
No, you didn't.
But I'm Zane Johnson. I am the founder and managing attorney of MZA Legal. Prior to that, I was a managing attorney of Philadelphia Lawyers for Social Equity. And, I got an opportunity there from Mike Lee, and so it's, to be able to kind of see how that gets passed forward. And like you said, you're paying it forward now with the show. And, having people on who are doing dope things, providing resources to the community, collaborating, and really just building community. It's an honor and pleasure for me to have an opportunity to be a part of it. And I'm mainly going to sit here and listen. I'll probably chime in.
No doubt.
But it's a pleasure to be here with you, and a pleasure to be here with you ladies and hear about the things that are going on. So.
You as well.
So like I was saying earlier about women, the experience of everybody's experience in the criminal justice system is horrible. That's coming from somebody that did 20 years. And the difference in PA to a lot of places for men is PA is not really physical anymore. It's not like we gonna stab each other, we gonna fight, like letting the jail kind of just do what it do. A lot of places they let the jail run itself. You know what I mean? And that leads to violence, because that's how, actually the crazy thing is, that's how you get order. When they got you in this confined space and they like, well, whatever, we don't care. As long as you can't get out, we don't care what goes on in here. We don't care. And we gonna aid it, you know what I'm saying? So it gets violent because you got to get order, and that's how people get to know what you got laws and then you got norms, and the norms are dictated by violence, and in most prisons, because whoever can be the most violent gets to control.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And the more people want to be with the people who are most violent, so their numbers grow. You know what I'm saying? But in PA, it's a mental thing. Like they trying to drive you crazy. I would like to do the numbers or do the study to see what is mental illness, what are the levels, where do you gauge mental illness in different states and how incarceration is in those states. I'm not saying PA would lead it, but I know from being in those prisons, they put protections in so we can't really go at each other in that way.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? We can. But it's a lot of ways that the jails are situated where it's like, man, I'm doing all this over here. But they be playing with your mind. They do stuff like give you 2 rolls of toilet paper, and then it's a whole conversation and debate and mental game to acknowledge that I don't have any more toilet paper. The 2 rolls was not enough. Why is it a conversation about me being able to get toilet paper to use the bathroom? Why is that a conversation?
Control.
Why do I gotta probably go to a captain? You know what I'm saying? And it's set up to be this way, because then they play these mental games with you where it's always a set of COs who are actually incompetent and lazy, I'm being honest, who seem cool because they don't really want to do their job. Right. So they want to write you up, because a lot of them, a lot of times, can't write the write-up.
Say that.
I'm being honest. It's PA prison. That's where I was at. I can give you the experience. It's COs that really be on that time, and you think they cool because they're lazy or they're incompetent. They not no less racist or no less punitive or no less, law and order than any of their other, comrades or colleagues, whatever you want to call them. But they don't want to do the work. And then you got the ones who love doing the work. You know what I'm saying? They love writing you up. They love, they everything that go with the jail, they love it. Like, we love it. We love this system at play. We live for it. They do. They see it as an extension of law enforcement. And they be extra. Yes. So anyway, you get those 2 types of guys. But so you get the lazy guy who gets all the information because he's lazy, right?
Right.
And you think that he's cool. So you telling him all the slang, you chilling with him, talking about hunting, talking about football, but you tell him, these boys be doing this be going on in the jail. And not even on some intentionally wanting to just tell, you think he's cool because he's let you get away with some stuff.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And then you got the guy who loves it, who comes. But first they sit in a bubble and compare notes and say, listen, I'm already known as the cool guy now. They talk to me and this, that, and the third. He give everybody up, and then he come out and be like, man, I don't know why they did that, man. I wouldn't have handled it like that. But these are psychological games that you playing with people. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And that's just one. It's like giving somebody, I'm 6'2". This blanket that you giving me, is only fit for somebody that's maybe 5'10". Maybe. How bad would it be to give me another one just so my feet could be covered? And that's a whole process where I probably got to write people and put grievances in and do all of this crazy stuff. Like, I'm just saying, PA prisons are built to drive you insane. I see a lot of dudes not come home the way that they came in, if they didn't already have issues before they came. So now I look at that, And I look at a female. I look at women's prisons, women that I've talked to that I've known that have been incarcerated. And the first one is all the rules are the same. And when you think about that, it's like, how is all the rules? But they all come from the standpoint of male prisons.
Right.
Yes.
But all the rules are the same.
Yes.
And it's like the psychological part for a woman would be like we was talking earlier. Y'all don't have this because the rules go for women. They go for men, and their response to you would be like, "Well, what you want me to do then?" So where she sees, can y'all make this adjustment? So now she got to go through all of this nonsense that can literally drive her crazy, literally, because she's already under stress. Right. Now she's going against the system just to get something basic like, say, pads. Say, won't y'all put pads on the, because this happened. Won't y'all put that on the commissary? And then it is slowly but surely, women got to keep fighting. We used to say this upstate. Women ride harder than men, at least in PA. Because anytime something went on that women didn't like, they was going through it with the state. They was going through it with the state every time. We kept hearing about different things going on and women standing up. But then you got to think, like, what is the psychological trauma on somebody that got to keep fighting for basic stuff? You already got me incarcerated. I'm already here. You got me. I'm caught. For whatever you want to say caught is, I'm caught. Why you got to treat me like this, though? You know what I mean? Like that. And it's bad for a man. So now we looking at, so I'm telling y'all all of this because this is the reason why I've been talking to a lot of women about reentry, and it just keep going into different things. Like what you were saying, like, no, we more tell it toward linking the mom with the child. Right. You know, we do everything else. We want everything else to get done for you, right, but that's our thing. And I was like, this is even better than when I talked to you the first time. Yeah, you know what I mean?
Our goal is not just to have women come home from prison that they need somewhere to stay. Like, if you have any charges that are against children, child abuse, sexual abuse, you won't be accepted into our program because our program is designed to reunite moms with their kids after being incarcerated. And we can't do that if we got someone that has beat their kid or raped a child in the same vicinity that we have another mom who's fighting for her children. Right. So it would be kind of defeating our purpose. So for that reason only, we won't accept any woman that has any type of charges against kids. You could be a murderer, whatever you want to do, but if it's against children, you won't be accepted into our program.
And when we was talking about that earlier, I was like, because you know, people would be like, "Yo, why? That's a form of discrimination." And this is me, how I look at that. I don't have, as somebody who wants to aid people, who wants to help people, I don't have the tools to help every type of issue that's out here. Right. You feel what I'm saying? I don't have the tools, and me not having the tools and still trying it is further traumatizing this person. Right, right. So when you say that, I always think from that standpoint and that's one of those issues. Like when you're talking about pedophilia, that's one of those. I don't have the tools to deal with it. I know that even that is a problem. Yep. So now, okay, if you saying these people done what they've done and they served their time, and now we have all of these other parameters in place that protects children. Now we need to figure out how are we going to deal with this too. Like, stop throwing it away or trying to change in with the cycle. Because I'm not going to lie to y'all. I've heard recently, and I said this on the show before too, not even recently, like I've heard about it over a couple of years where pedophilia is being turned into a different type of attraction. And because of that thought, you have the law reflecting that and dropping the age of consent. Right. Because that was a big thing that went on in California probably like 3-4 years ago. It might have been a little longer, but it was real recent. And it was like a big push to say, no, we can't drop consent as the answer. Exactly. You know what I'm saying? Right. That's not a good answer. Dropping consent, you know? So that was the real push. It wasn't that we shouldn't deal with this issue. The push was, that's not the answer. You know what I'm saying? So I can't get into the psychology of that because that's not in my wheelhouse. I can see it from the outside looking in and say, okay, yeah, that ain't the answer to me neither. You know what I'm saying? But what is the answer? It's not just that ain't the answer, and then we just be like, all right, on to the next thing.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
So I understand what you're saying in that, and then I thought about it when you said it. Like my whole center is based on reconnecting, and I'm instantly making my environment not safe for that if I bring folks in that have those types of charges.
Exactly.
So I definitely get that. And that's an important thing to talk about too, as far as just reentry period when we talk about sex offense.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? For men and women, because we normally think sex offense, we think man the perpetrator, woman is usually the victim. You know what I'm saying? But we know it works across the board. So that's even another question. And I remember you saying this too. I'm going to have to deal with that in a different center. You know what I'm saying? I'm going to have to deal with that in a different way at a different center. So even with that, I appreciate it because it was like, I'm not saying that we can't because we have to.
We got to help everybody.
Exactly.
You know? We want to help everybody, but for this particular project, we can't have women that have offenses against children because it's defeating the whole purpose of working with DHS and reconnecting the kids. I mean, nobody don't really want to be around certain things. It's bad. It's hard enough trying to get a halfway house in a neighborhood, yet alone one that's going to house sexual offenders, male or female.
Right.
Male or female. But it's even harder because when people hear the word halfway house, they automatically think, oh my goodness, I don't want that in my neighborhood. But that's why I always say we're not a halfway house. You know, we are a reentry center. It's a big difference. We have different goals. We have different plans. We have different laws that we have to go by that a halfway house doesn't have to go by.
Right.
Because we're dealing with federal, we're dealing with state, and we're dealing with local. So we got county, you got the state, and you got the feds. It's certain things that you can and you can't do.
Right.
Then a regular halfway house is just, all right, you can come here, finish your sentence out, we get paid, and that's that.
Right.
It's far more deeper than
I
that.
think the biggest thing for me is the resources around whatever you're doing. So what resources do you think are like, because for me it's more of a hold the hand approach because that's how I feel like people get supported better. You know what I mean? It's like I used to have an idea and I'm still working on it and it's coming to fruition, but it's like on Monday we do all your medical stuff.
Okay.
So we'll make that time, and somebody will actually go with you to the appointments, go with you to see about getting insurance, whatever it is around medical that you need.
Right.
If you don't feel comfortable doing it on your own, we'll do it with you, and we'll let that be known. You know.
So y'all go to the welfare offices and stuff.
Everything.
All right, so from now on, y'all can just come down to LFCI because we're a community partner with the welfare office.
See,
you can just do it right there.
I need some medical myself.
Come down.
I'm coming down there. See, this is what this is for. And she told me she ain't in the barter. This is a barter right here. But I respected that too as well because I talk to my folks about we have to change the economy amongst ourselves. But for me, it's still more like a personal thing. Because we still deal in capitalism, we still all have professional organizations, so the contracts, the money, everything should be clear and transparent, and that way we won't have an issue in our relationship. Exactly. But personally, I've been moving towards with my folks, like we barter with each other. You know what I'm saying? Right. So I totally understood when you was like, I'm not really with bartering. No. Like.
Not for certain things. Not for certain things.
But I totally understood it because if we talking about business, it has to be done a certain way, and black and white make it transparent.
Exactly.
Transparency kills a lot of potential problems, man.
Yes.
I need y'all to understand that not just in business, in life too, like with our families. Like I talk about, and it's a little off the course, but secrets kill, man.
Omission,
you know what I mean?
Omitting stuff too, or not saying, don't say nothing, not saying nothing.
Lying by omission. That's I always call people on that because they act like they don't be knowing. Like just because you ain't say, you lying by omission. What do omission mean? Because your ass ain't say what you knew was going on. You lied by omission.
Yes, go look it up.
Yeah, lying by omission. That's like plausible deniability.
Yes, still lying.
That's like plausible deniability. So what do you think is your strongest? What you are a resource. I usually ask this question about what is your resource, but you kind of already explained it. But what is, out of all of the things that you offer at the center, what is kind of like your bread and butter thing? Like everything else builds around this, if you have one. You know what I'm saying? Like, what's the main thing? Like, if you said, like, I might be an education person, so I'll say, yo, us having a sturdy GED program is what kind of makes, we put everything up around the education piece. Some people may say work readiness. We try to prepare people to work, and then we put housing, education, and all that around that.
Right now,
so you know what I'm saying?
Just the community, the fact of what we're doing with the community. We do on Thursdays when we do the community cookouts, and we feed the entire community. Whoever comes up, they get barbecue. Like yesterday, they had barbecue chicken, hot dogs, hot sausages, pasta salad, deviled eggs. Hamburgers, and then somebody still asks us for big macaroni and cheese, but
we gotta aspire for more though. What's wrong with aspiring for more?
Nothing wrong with asking.
No, but it's $40 a pan, so yeah, we got a little problem with that, and we don't get food stamps in the now.
Nothing wrong with saying no too. No is a good word.
Yeah, again, transparency makes it clear. Like, listen. It is what we have here. You know what I'm saying? It is. This is what we have to offer. I'm not saying that it probably wouldn't have been a good idea to have mac and cheese. I'm not disagreeing with you even asking for mac and cheese.
Right.
But what I will tell you is we only got what's right here. We only got what's right here. But people should aspire for more. If you come to the buffet and something missing, what's wrong with saying, can y'all have blue cheese with the salad and stuff? Y'all don't have blue cheese.
It's not the buffet.
You better take the range.
But we definitely are going to like collaborate more with the giving of food and having those type of social.
We're gonna be down there Thursday.
Yes.
So.
No. Well, we give out the food on Thursday.
Y'all give out food on Thursday, but y'all do something on Thursday.
We do the community dinner on Wednesday nights.
On Wednesday night.
From 6 to 8.
Wednesday.
Do y'all do spoken word? Anybody?
No.
Do y'all like spoken word?
I am a poet at heart.
Okay, that's good enough.
I haven't spoken in a while, but I'm definitely good with the pen.
Okay, that's good. The only reason why I asked because we want the Wednesday nights as they grow to kind of like have themes. You know what I mean? And more towards. I love the arts. I don't necessarily have a talent in the arts, but I love everything about it. Dance, paint, everything, poetry, the whole nine. I love it. It's like the greatest way to educate. You know what I mean?
Collaborate with stars too.
Yeah.
So, but we want the Wednesday to like morph into different things. Like we might do when we do spoken word. We might too. We probably will attempt that tomorrow. Okay. And then like next week we'll be talking politics, or it'll just be networking, or it'll just be about food and we chilling, we socializing. But I want to see the time where it kind of like, or it's enough people where it kind of like organically turns into different things instead of us giving it a theme. Right. But I think as it grows and people know that it's a safe space and we can, it's a lot to get from it. Right. It'll kind of be like, a cipher might, you know what I mean? Somebody who might get some dancing going on. I don't know.
So where's your location again?
It's 2321 North Broad Street on the York Street side. You have the Dolphin on one end, York on the other side. It's on the York Street side. It's right across the street from the Dunkin' Donut.
And that's where LFTI is going to be.
Yes, Cornerstone Drop-In Center. That's what it is. I am the director of that. Where's the applause? Like, no. Nah. No doubt too.
With a button.
Yo, but listen, I love to collaborate, right? Because it just makes sense. That's number one. Like, we are not rugged individuals. No matter what American culture tries to teach us, the reason why we're in the problem, we're in the big ish that we're in across the country on so many levels is because we have been trained up to be rugged individuals, to think what's going on with me is more important than anything else that's going on. What my manifest destiny is, everybody should coalesce around it, be exploited by it, not care about their own feelings, only care about mine, not care about their own goals, only care about mine. That single-mindedness they have taught us, it's the competition mindset as well. Not saying that I'm going to get against competition, because I believe that grit is an important determinant on how successful you're going to be. And it's like critical thinking. From what I've read and what I've talked about, people talk about it just being, you could just see it in a child, like, and that's how you'll know. So no matter what their background is, if you see it early on that they have that don't quit in them, but I also think that can be taught. That can be taught. That can be orientated into, yes, that can be taught. But that grit you got, because it's balances to that too, because they just kind of look at it like to an extreme thing. Like, look at her. he don't stop. You can't hold him down. But where are you directing this to? I don't understand. You know what I mean?
Energy, channel it.
Right, but we have all been taught to be rugged individuals. And we think that working with people works against us. When really it builds you up. Like, you know what I mean? Nobody ever did anything great by themselves anyway. Yeah, you know what I mean? And we're social by nature. Whereas if I isolate you, you'll go crazy. One of the biggest, and I tell these stories repeatedly because I be wanting our people to understand, like, but one of the most vicious penalty you can have for a person is to ostracize them from their community. Me and my brother was just talking about that, and he was talking about it in the framework of jails. Like when I first came to prison, the biggest penalty was being sent to Albion. You know what I'm saying? For one reason and one reason only. It was so far away from your family. The guards would say it to you. You want to get sent to Albion, I'll get you sent. Even if they didn't have the power and you knew, you don't know, you got to figure that out. But you years in, by the time you figure out this goofball don't have the power to just get me sent to another prison. But you don't know that when you first come in. But I say that just to say that it's an understanding that the further away that I pull you away from that tribe that you come from, whatever it look like, is the biggest penalty. You could put me in a gladiator school if it's across the street from my folks. And I'll rumble my way to that visit every day. Right. But I'll lose my mind if you send me out Albion where nobody's coming to see me. Just because they can't. And then the prison take it a step further and put you in solitary confinement, you lose your mind. Because you wilding because you ain't seen nobody. You know what I'm saying? And again, there is another way where they drive people insane. Pulling you away from your family like that. And knowing that, using it as a strategy or a tactic as a part of the strategy of mass incarceration. You know what I mean?
Inside of a punishment.
Yeah.
Right.
So, I lost my train of thought. But that was a great ass story. I hope y'all learned something from it.
Well, I was gonna add, I'm reading a book right now. It's called Roll Jordan Roll, and it's about basically about what life was like during slavery, for people who were in bondage. And it talks about it a lot from a power perspective, and from the perspective that the society that was built around it, and kind of what you mentioned in terms of like there being laws, but there really being regional and local norms that were more important than the laws in terms of the way that people lived and interacted with one another from town to town, city to city, region to region, county to county. And the other thing that was really interesting that I was reading about it was that the way that society was structured, the people who were in bondage, and in comparison to poor whites who didn't have anything, were constantly kind of being played against each other. And the people who were in bondage, it forced them to always look to their masters for protection. And I think that I'm sure a lot of that, obviously I don't know the politics of prison, but I'm sure that there's a lot of that as well in terms of, guards, prison, the prison hierarchy and everything, creating a situation where at the end of the day, you have to go to them in order to get protection. And the kind of psychological mind games that plays for you where, your captor, who is also your oppressor at the same time, is the same person who you have to go to, has to be your safety blanket. And the way that's just gotta...
It's how that do you like God sitting in a cell trying to master grievances. And you gotta go to the person who's doing it. You gotta send him the grievance. And hope is somebody gonna read it? And then, this is the joint that always blew my mind, right? When somebody would be wrong, like you could see it on people's face, like you could see it on men's face where they can't wait to get off the block to get on the walk and hope that they see a lieutenant or hope that they see a captain. And even if you do see him, he give you the time of day. He don't brush you off. He don't pass the buck. He don't take your name down on some fake ish, telling you he gonna look for your grievance or your request. And then they tell you to stand down, like don't put the request in. Don't put the grievances. Just send me a request. Now you got a whole another group of paperwork because he got people that see the request and then go to him, and then you got to wait till you see him on the walk because he can hide from you. He don't never got to be on the walk while his movement going on if he don't want to. You know what I'm saying? And to see a man come out and be scrambling to all of these people while we on the walk trying to talk to this guy pleading his case, and it would be like you get a group of thought where it's like, come on, man, F them. Like they ain't gonna do nothing for you, but it's then at the same time I'm looking at it like, dog, I don't have no other reprieve. You know what I'm saying? We like, you giving up your manhood with this one, man. So now you dealing with that from us. Where we looking at you like, yo, why are you grieving in this way, man? Like, F that. Just get over it. Move on. Because that's the other psychological trauma that's coming on.
Yeah.
The whole, wear the mask until you can get, and then sometimes the mask don't never come off your face. You start wearing it for real.
Becomes who you are.
You know what I'm saying?
It really does.
And that's go ahead, my fault, I apologize.
I want to speak to some things. Just a little history. I had quite a bit of running with the law in my yesteryear. And dealing with recidivism just on a county level was ridiculous, trying to get the lieutenants and the captains to listen. Now, because of affiliation, I had girlfriends who were in those situations. I'm an educated individual, got a couple degrees. So before I got into the trouble, which, like you said, was side to a man, it allowed me to have resources that most women don't have when they go in, because they're not taking your phone calls, they're not coming to visit you, and then if the man that you got in trouble for do come to visit you, he's patronizing you or further abusing you while you're already being punished for something that he orchestrated, more or less. And having to deal with those psychological mindsets, having to deal with those countless amounts of time just by yourself, being a restricted movement, armband's not working. What
is the armband? Because people might not know what you're talking about.
Armband, that's how they identify you, 847-795. That you a number. Your name means nothing. And if you don't know your PP number, or you've been out so long, go back in. You need 340. You know what I'm saying? It's a cycle to break you. It is a cycle to
it's designed.
Yeah, it's designed for you to fail, and you become angry, frustrated, disenfranchised to a point, because when you come out, especially as a woman, when you come out, whether you do 2 weeks or 2 years, county life, you looking at so much more hardship than a man, simply because you're judged differently. And that's on a personal, professional, like those two levels, like it's more stigmatism. It's like, you come in and you saying hi to people. Oh, well, where was you at? No, I had to take, I had to deal with some things. Oh, you was in jail again, huh, Patty? You know what I'm saying? And it becomes embarrassing, because it's hard to go into an employer and say, hey, look, I made a mistake. I need another chance. Which led me to the point where I had to realize, regardless of the mistakes I made, I am the CEO of my life, and I had to make some executive decisions to change who I was, to change my affiliations, and to allow myself to forgive me for those things. Now, at the time, I didn't have any children. My children changed me, and I all praise to Allah for it, because there's no way that I could have done that, the way I did it. And I even had the discomfort of being incarcerated by my daughter's father's lies when she was very young, before she was 4 years old.
Her oldest daughter.
My oldest daughter. And it was just so heartbreaking to have to go through that thing. Was on the yard one day, and young ladies did some things, and because I really didn't see it, when they rolled the camera back, they see I didn't see it, but it was tossed in a hole with everybody else. My bucket empty when I get back. I'm, good rapport with the block rep, getting me a lot, but really, it's designed to kill your spirit, break your heart, and really disenfranchise you from the world. So I can relate.
When you said the part about being put in a hole, even though you didn't do anything, I remember I was in a hole, and the jail was overcrowded, right? So they ain't had no space for nobody. Now they had like cells available, but they would have had to go in there and do some stuff that they didn't want to do to make them available. So they just said, we're going to put all of these people who, because Graterford is one of them jails, people are constantly coming through. You have people who are there, but you constantly got people coming through. So now you got guys coming down there, but it's nowhere to put them, so you put them in the hole. They put them in the hole. And I'm like, okay, you're just being a human and not letting the system dictate how you think too much. Because, we get into this way when we at work, and because of the system and we do it so much, we really start to kind of think in that way. You know what I'm saying? Where we can't, especially if we're dealing with people. Like as you said about the welfare office, like you go to the welfare office and it's like, yo, this is not your resources that you're. Why are you treating people like this? Why do you have an attitude? Why? They already coming in here at whatever state that they in. Okay, cool. But this is your job to try to help provide people with a. Why are you being like that? Why are you being nasty like that? It's not necessary. But that's one of those things where you kind of take on the culture of the work that you're doing at the job, though, because the culture of the actual work says we should be in here smiling about helping people. Not that somebody's gonna be like that all day.
Imagine
but
that.
Exactly. So they were sending guys to the hole because it was overcrowded. So you would think there would be some concessions made for these brothers because they didn't do anything to be in the hole. They didn't do anything. Okay, they are in prison, but they didn't do anything to be in the hole. It's because the prison is overcrowded. Hint, hint, y'all probably should be letting people out.
Right.
But why treat these men as if a cat literally like broke down and was crying on the gate one night. He had been there like 3 days. And he just trying to get attention to the guards like, yo, I'm not supposed to be here, so can I get on the phone? At least let me use the phone. And mind you, the phone is on wheels in the hole. So it ain't like you it ain't like you got to take him out the cell to take him anywhere. He just like, listen, I just want to call my folks. I'm in the hole for no reason. I didn't do anything. We're clear on that. So why are y'all treating me like I did something wrong? And it's like probably about the second or third night, he was on the door screaming. And then you just heard him break down on the door like, but I know what he was thinking. Like, yo, I'm already here. Like I said earlier, you got me. I didn't do anything. This is one minor thing that you can do. Slide the phone over to the cell. Make an accommodation for these guys that y'all putting in here because of overcrowding. They didn't do anything wrong.
Like it's extra work for them.
And that's, again, another one of them spaces where they be trying to, like you said, they be trying to break you mentally. And you'll see it with the brothers that come home. One of the things that shock people, and it do be a shock because I'll be seeing their face, they be like, how you did 20 years and you come home? Like they don't even want to say, well, you still got, you ain't crazy. Right. I am a little bit, but not in the way you think. But nah, I see it on their face like, you did 20 years? You ain't crazy. You don't got no ticks, no nothing. What's going on? Right. Because we know. You know why you know that? Not because you've been in the prison, because you've seen enough cats come home.
Yes.
And you peeping it. Even if they cool, you still see it. Right. You can see it. You know what I mean?
Blinking,
it's a lot of things. Yeah. I think my John is, and I'm working on it, because I got into this stage in prison where it was so many times where I didn't get responses, or I didn't get the response that I thought that I was going to get for the amount of time and effort that I put into this book. And I always apologize and say, I'm sorry for writing you a book, but we ain't talking a lot. We ain't been talking a lot. So I got a lot on my head. Right. And you'll get a letter back, if you get a letter, and they won't address nothing that you wrote in the letter.
I haven't read it.
No, I'm talking about nothing. And I'm reading the letter like, yo. And then I proofread all my stuff, so I have the hard copy in my John. Right, I don't throw nothing. Like every letter is, I read it, go through it. I keep the rough draft, throw it in my notes. That's really what I was doing. So every letter I ever wrote, I got a copy of it. And then when I would get their letter, if I got a letter, when I would get their letter, I would be like, I would go get my letter. Like, hold
4 lines.
Hold up. You're not answering anything that I said. So, and even on the phone, I feel like people used to be listening to things that I would be saying, not all the time, because I did have a lot of great conversation with family members that showed me a lot of love in that way. You know what I'm saying? But it would be like, I would be saying stuff, and they would be like, kind of like, yeah, I hear you, and then, you know what I'm saying? And then the conversation was shifting to something else, and I'd be like, I know what I just said leads to more conversation. Yeah. I know what I know it. I was preparing this before I got on the phone. What I'm going to talk about. I like to have an agenda because when you leave conversations open-ended, that's how arguments start.
Yes.
Especially if you're talking to significant others. If you calling for no reason and the dead air come, now motherfucker thinking about, well, what was you doing an hour ago before I called? That's because y'all ain't got nothing to talk about. Y'all just sitting there breathing. You don't want to hang up the phone because you in jail. It's like, I need this 15 minutes. Can you just hold on? Don't go out with them just yet. Just talk to me, please. Don't hit me with the door and I'm getting dressed. Please don't do that to me. Where you going? It's like, no. That's
how they say.
But that shit really be going down, though. I never did that, though. And I have proof. I never did that, but I seen a lot of it. But no, again, it's just one of those things where it's like, yo, these is all the different psychological things that happen. So one of the things that I would do is I would repeat myself a lot, and I noticed it, and I know that that's where that came from. Like I would say something to you, and if I didn't necessarily get a response, you heard me, but it just became natural to repeat it. So I would do it on the phone. I even started doing it in letters. I had to dig myself. Like I would get to like the end of the paragraph of the set and say something that I already said to kind of reiterate, because I'm like, it's no way you can't. If you're going to write back, there's no way you can't answer this, because I wrote it in here twice.
Right.
And that shit still didn't mean anything. Not for everybody. People did write me back. I'm not going wrong. Not for everybody. And I did do a lot of time. But I'm just saying, from that standpoint, that was like my thing. When I came home, I felt like that was my thing. I would be talking to people and keep repeating myself.
Yeah, you did that last week.
I know I did.
Then you was like, did I tell you that already? I was
Yeah. And something about jail boys, we talk a lot. All we do is tell stories all day. Yo, when I was down in county, I don't want to turn this into the jail story, John, but when I was down in county and I first came in, I'm 20, one of the brothers from upstate, he used to be talking about really good stuff, so it was interesting, but I was like, damn, this boy can go. And then I'd be thinking of him when I be catching myself like, yo, just get out of this conversation. You've been talking for 3 minutes. But why do y'all do what y'all do, man?
I can't say. You saying why?
Why y'all do what y'all do?
We do what we do because, for me, I would like to be the person that I needed before I became who I was. But I had to be who I was to become who I am. Without the experience, I wouldn't be me. And I need to be able to direct people to resources, encourage them to not give up on themselves, to provide every possible avenue to help you in your own recovery before you crash and burn, and end up not able to come back ever again. So if we can address economic marginalization, poverty, family reunification, job resources, mental health resources, even, directing you, if need be, once you're to the point, how to become social again, because you are very antisocial, so to speak, when you come out, because you're so apprehensive about what you did and so scared that affiliating with certain people is going to cause a rift in your release, because if you're a convicted felon, you shouldn't be fraternizing with other or socializing with other convicted felons, but you have to learn how to do that. So through my experience, I just want to be who I needed. I want to be that person that say, hey, I'm here to listen, even if the stories are long. I want to be able to say, okay, this is what you need to do in order to get housing. Let's get your medical in order. Let's get you some food stamps. Because, honestly speaking, you got to think about it. Just from a statistics standpoint, women are more likely to go back to jail within 6 months of release. Not true for men, though. But why? Because that poverty, that missing your children, that not having anywhere to sleep, the chronic homelessness, the, disenfranchised as a worker, like you're unable to get valuable employment because you don't know where to go. If you going somewhere where they don't hire felons, or, you still have an open case and you are apprehensive about trying or applying, or even you don't even know how to do a resume, let us be that assistant. LFTI is here to do that, to help you walk through the whole process. Welfare, getting medical insurance, resituating yourself, becoming a valuable part of society again. You are not what you've done. You are not. You are more than that. I am more than what they say I am. And I had to believe that. And like I said, before anything, I'm going to help you understand. Get some counseling. Forgive yourself. It was what it was.
Counseling,
normalize it. Let's normalize it in the community. This brown skin community, this melatonin, we got to get past the thing of
individual, family.
Yes.
It ain't just marriage counseling.
It's not just marriage counseling, not just relationship counseling. It's counseling for you. I always tell my children, like, I raised my nephew, he's 23, and my daughter, and I've always shared with them not only what I was experiencing, but how I was resolving those things, what my remedy was for it. If there is a pill for your heart, you would take it so it can keep beating. Do what you need to do to keep your mind right, because if your mind right, you ain't right. Period. Counseling. Talk to somebody. Chemical imbalance.
It don't make you a bad person
It
to
doesn't.
talk to somebody. It don't make you crazy because you go. It make you crazy when you don't go talk to somebody.
Yes,
Exactly.
it'll drive you up the
People
wall,
need to
especially
understand that.
especially after being incarcerated. You can't come out here and not get a good support system in place, and that starts with having some resources for counseling, talking to people who can identify with what you've experienced, who can share with you how they have gotten over that hurdle, and it's just good for your soul. Best thing I could have did was find somebody to talk to that was unbiased.
So why you do what you do? Everything she said?
No. No. I haven't been on her side of the tracks of the legal system,
Right.
but I do have. My background is in criminal justice. I was a police explorer at 14. Then I was a police advisor at 18. I've just been in the criminal justice system, that part of it, for a long time. So I was going to start a male halfway house, but talking to a mentor, he was like, "There's a real need for females." And when he did that, I went to my sister and I was like, we should do a female. Instead of it. And then that's when we got into it. I love helping people. I love, actually, one of our employees now, she is on parole. But she started off as a client. And now she's working for LFTI. So she's like the poster board for us.
I met her.
Yeah, you met Tamika.
Yeah.
She's I've been knowing Tamika 20 years. So it's not, that's my little sister.
Right.
That's my little sister. And besides family, like LFTI, we're family based. It's my sisters, and then I have my niece, and then my son, is a part of it. And when I was telling you about the male version of it, my boyfriend is actually going to be the one that's leading that part, of it. So it's, I love helping people. I love getting out there into the community. Even though that we're not dealing with direct recidivism, a lot of the homeless people that we encounter are from prison or they have been in the army. So I'm getting to meet, even though I'm not meeting high up people, I'm meeting people, and it's bettering me as a person because I'm like, this is really real. Like, homelessness is really real.
It's real.
Mental health is really real. And our goal is to just get in, just dive in. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
Dive in.
You gotta have that
knee
mentality.
Deep, knee deep, feet first.
You gotta have that
You got
mentality.
to. You got
I
to.
seen you. I thought you was about to say something.
I do have a question, and then you said something else that I loved in terms of, meeting people where they're at in the community, and it might not necessarily be the person who's going to put you on or give you the $1 million grant or whatever,
Right.
but having that attitude that, this is an interaction that's going to lead to me learning something. Like, I can give this person something, but they also have something to offer
They
me.
do.
Like, that's an attitude that, I've always kind of kept through the work that I do, and that I've heard from other people who I consider mentors. And I feel like it's so important because it also helps you be able to treat people with that dignity that they deserve. The question I wanted to ask, though, is, having worked in the reentry space, and hearing a lot about halfway houses and some of the horrors, and I'm curious because you mentioned and kind of alluded to how the work that y'all do is different from a halfway house, and I'm curious, how do you, what approach do you kind of take to provide people with more supports than they would typically get from a average halfway house, where they're just like, here are the rules, don't mess up,
Or you're
or
going back.
yeah.
We're not just, like I said, we're not just, or you can stay here till you finish your sentence. You have to work with us. If you don't have a high school diploma, we are for a literacy program. You have to go to school. You have to do something. You're not going to lay around all day and wait for your 3 meals. And no, you want to earn them. If you're not working, you can get into a program, some sort of program. You have to be doing something positive, though. You have to show us that not only are you here, you want to be here. We're not going to force you to stay. If you want to leave, you're more than welcome to leave. But you're not going to just lay around and sit around and that's that. I'm just going to finish my sentence here. No, you're not. You're going to work for it. And we're not mean. It's not being mean. It's not being strict because we know we're dealing with adults. But you got to have some sort of structure. Because if you don't, you're going to fail.
You can have structure with care. Like, you
Yes,
definitely can do that.
absolutely.
Like, people always be like, oh, no, it's even one way or the other. If you have care, it's like you got to be vague about, nah, you can have structure with care because you can allow, again, transparency. You can allow people to know this is what we know you capable of doing. This is what we understand about where you have been. This is how we trying to help you meet your goals.
Right.
Like, that's clear. The rules are what they are. Like,
Right.
these are the rules. This is what we do. But we have a bunch of resources around you that we probably not even going to have to worry about the rules. But we can't make you be here.
Right.
No.
You know what I'm saying? That John, like, trying to fight somebody to be in a
To love
space.
themselves or
Yeah,
wanna be
it's
something
a
for
hard
themselves.
joint. It's a hard
To
joint.
participate in their own recovery. That's the
It's-
thing. That's the difference with LFTI and a conventional halfway house. At a conventional halfway house, these are the rules. You come and you leave at this time. Everything that you want is on your own. They're not usually assisting you with your education, assisting you with the resources necessary to become, a productive part of society again. It's just like they pretty much they just want you there because you are a check. They're not aspiring for more. They're not looking forward to you becoming anything other than what you've been, which is an offender, and they treat you as such. But we're striving to treat people with love, to recognize not only have you done something wrong, but to help you recognize that just because you did something wrong, you are more than that.
Yeah, we don't even use the word offender. It's returning citizens.
Language is important.
Very.
Do y'all think, like, once people get language sometimes, they start playing with it, though? Like, you know how we can, all right, so, like, mental illness, right? Now, I've had people, my man Tyrone Melvin, I'm looking for you, brother. I need you to be on the show again, but more than anything, I want you to come down to center. Super intelligent brother. You work for War. Very, very, very compassionate brother. You know what I'm saying? But he, even mental illness, he was like, you should say, I'm gonna butcher this, John.
Intellectual.
Emotionally distressed.
Okay.
So that's what. But most people be like, "Come on, man, we doing too much with this." I don't believe that. I know that language is powerful, right? But it's a lot of things that we know about mental illness. Because I remember at a time when people had episodes and stuff like that, we would all say nervous breakdown. Like, they'd be like, "What happened to so and so? They had a nervous breakdown."
Right.
You know what I mean? That was our language. We didn't know about bipolar. We didn't know about schizophrenic. You know what I'm saying? We just didn't have a language.
Right.
But now when people get the language, it's like, I'm bipolar.
Yeah.
Like, stop playing with this language like this. Y'all know people be doing this.
It's transparency.
No.
Transparency.
People be like, oh, that triggers me. Come on, man.
No,
Now
really.
everything trigger you, though?
Listen.
I remember when you didn't know what trigger meant except for on a gun. Now everything trigger you, man. Stop just like, nah. Nah. But y'all know what I'm talking about. Like, once people get language for stuff, they start playing with it. Like, come on, man. Like, you playing with a serious thing, but people do that. Like,
It's the truth.
they get the language.
You gotta realize this, that people who once you give people the skills, or like you said, the vocabulary that goes with the situation, that is a way for them to assert dominance or
Take agency.
Informity.
Yeah, take agency. Yeah, I got you.
I'm bipolar. My PTSD been that kicked
You know
in.
that's a
I've been
trigger for me. I'll be like,
schizophrenic.
come on, that John shuts everything down when you come and be like, you can walk through the door. They be like, that's a trigger for me. What? I just walked through the door. Yeah, that. When you walk through the get
Announce yourself.
But nah, I don't laugh at people, but certain people I know, it'd be like, come on, man. Stop it, please. Everything trigger you. But yo, this is what it is. I was telling y'all that long ass story before, and it was about collaboration and how rugged individualism as a culture in America destroys that. It keeps us from doing that. And I love being able, as a part of what my job is, whatever my job is, whatever I create it to be, I love meeting my folks and they doing stuff and it be like light bulb every time. Like, boom, all right, we could do something together. You know that?
And we right down the street.
Right. That's what makes it so dope. So my thing for the day. If I have a thing for the day, I think that's the first time I ever said I had a thing for the day is collaboration. And we've taken the risk to do other things that was less valuable or so why not take a risk to collaborate with somebody? Like why not, swallow your pride, so to speak, you know what I mean? And be like, you know what? I'm going to try almost everything I can to make this work. Yep. You know what I'm saying? Yep. Why not because we take risks for other stuff that's not going to produce anything.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And I can go into a lot of things. Y'all know what it is. So let's take let's take a risk to collaborate for some real things that help serve some people. You know what I mean?
Normalize collaborating. Normalize being okay with not being a front man. Normalize being okay with taking a back seat.
Please tell them. Please tell them.
Normalize being okay with
taking a role.
Revolving around
yes, we're taking a role. Yes,
like
yes, I love that.
If I'm here, listen, my sister, she do what she do and I do what I do. I'm hands on. I have no expectation, even when she say, "Come help me with this," of her actually do like this. It's what we need from one another. And we have to normalize it being okay for you to do what you do. Like, I'm going to get on the grill and I'm going to be on the grill because that's where I'm at. I'm comfortable there.
Give me the paperwork.
Give her the paperwork.
Yes, understand your role, man. And be okay with taking a role.
And be okay with being flexible within the roles that you take.
Exactly.
And understand you're going to have to wear more than one hat.
Yeah, you might be on the podium one day and cleaning up the next day.
Exactly.
Like, that's a real thing.
You got to be okay with that. That's how you build. That's how you build companies, especially nonprofits, and that's where a lot of nonprofits go wrong because they want to they see that money and all they see is the money,
and it become a competition.
It goes
before we get out of here, because 2 always let me go over on time, and I appreciate it. I don't know if you remember. I think we went to the re-entry event down at Civic Center, and I said to you and Kat, I was like, this is kind of like gang activity a little bit. Like everybody kind of act like they want to work together, but they don't really want to work together because they don't want to share the money.
It's a lot of politics.
Yeah.
In the profits.
I was like, yo, this is crazy. This is kind of like the penitentiary a little bit. Like, look at the Bloods over there, and they serving people with housing, and then you got the Crips over there, and they doing food insecurity, and you got the Nietas over there. You know what I mean? And they doing work ready. I'm like, yo, this is crazy. Yo, it blew my mind when I first came home. But I was like, damn, I was blessed to be in the space, man. So this is PSA, Philly Service Announcement, Takeover Tuesday, Takeover, love, support, grace, social activism, resources, and art. Yo, I really, really appreciate y'all for coming on. That's what we doing out here. I'm going to holler at y'all next week.
Bye, guys.
Thanks for having us.